The following are Django tutorials about charts. We're going to continue with our project by completing our templates. So first of all, what we need to do is to activate our virtual environment. So cd space dot dot in order to get back to the bin folder. If you're on Windows, that's going to be a scripts folder. And so you need to run source space dot slash activate for Linux, and for Windows you need to run activate. So I'm going to activate the virtual environment and cd back to chart. It has no S. Okay, so this is the name of the project folder. Now we're in there and we should create a folder for our templates. So I'm going to your templates, and there we go. The templates folder has been created right over here. And now instead of the templates folder, you can cd to the templates folder, cd templates, and here we can create, by running touch, we can create a file called chart.html, and this is going to be placed in our home page. So we can call this home.html, but it doesn't really make a difference. So I prefer to call this chart.html. So let's get into the templates folder, and as you can see, we have charts.html created. So now let's continue with our project by completing the chart.html. Also, before we do that, we need to determine the directory of our templates folder inside of the settings.py. So instead of the templates dictionary, we need to define the path for our templates. So here in our templates, the IRS is for our directory. Now here we can write base directory slash, and then we can write the name of our folder as a string, templates. So that's it. Let's save the project. And now let's get into chart.html. So now the first thing we need to do is to, as always in every HTML, we can type doctype HTML. But this is not a very necessary part, but it's better to consider it. Now the next thing we're going to do is to add the head tag, and so then we will have the meta char set, and that is going to be equal to UTF-8. So let's close the meta tag, and then the next tag we're going to use is the title. So for the title we can write charts, but right now it's one chart, so let's say chart or chart app, for example. Chart app. So, and the next thing we're going to do is to add the compiled CSS. So we don't necessarily need to write the CSS. We can give the link to the CSS that we're looking for. This is the bootstrap code that we'll place here, which is compiled and minified. So now let me paste that inside of here. Right over here, so you don't need to necessarily write it, and only find this link over here, the link related to our bootstrap. And there's also another link for our jQuery library. So then the next thing we need to add here is the jQuery library. So let me paste it over here. So for jQuery, you need a script tag. So because it's JavaScript, it's a part of a JavaScript code. So you use the script tag. So the next thing we'll add here is is another bootstrap, actually compiled bootstrap, or but with the JavaScript script tag. So let me paste it in here, and also don't forget to close the script tag. So right now we've entered all of the links. right? And now it's time to write the body of our code. So first of all, I'm gonna add some Bootstrap CSS. So the first thing I'm gonna do is to add body, and then class equals to container fluid. Container fluid. And then we need the center tag, because we're going to place the charts in the center. So class equals to row. And so the next thing we're going to write here is the head tag related to our chart. So h1 tag, we can write the name of our chart. So the name of our chart is about blood pressure. So blood pressure data each day. And so the next thing we need to do is to add the HR tag in order to draw a line for us after the center tag instead of the body tag. So the HR tag will draw a line and separate the heading from the chart itself. And here we're going to add the div tag, and the div tag is inside of it we're going to add some classes. So class, first of all, row again. Then we'll have we'll have to close this one, and then the next one is also a div class, and so we'll use div class equals to col. So this is related to the column empty offset. This is for placing it in the center. Offset and 3. And another div class for placing it in the center. So yes, these two will, the last two classes help us put this chart in the center on the top. So md10 center. Here we are, and now it's time to add our canvas. So we can add a canvas and then give it an ID in order to refer to it in the JavaScript. And we can call the ID blood pressure. And so we'll create a function, and then we'll call the tag, and here is the place where we're going to place the chart. So we will also close the canvas, and in case we need to add any other charts, we can do the same thing as this one. We can copy and paste all of these 7 tags. Yes, I guess no, 7 tags, 4 tags over here, and close them for adding other charts. But for now, we're looking for only one chart. So what we're going to do is to add our script tag. So the script tag that we're going to first of all include here is, first of all, we need to add another library that we're going to use. So we'll use this cdn.jsdeliver.net. So we're gonna need this, and so we get started with our scripts in JavaScript. So let's open up a script tag, and here the first thing we need to do is to so first of all we need to define the URL, right? So the URL that we're going to use, our endpoint. Actually, we don't need the equal here after the endpoint. So here we need to enter the address of our endpoint where we're going to get the data from our REST framework. So we've defined this in the urls.py. Let's look at what we've defined, and the name is API, so we can refer to that here in the code, in the JavaScript code. So here I can write API. There we go. And the next thing we need to do is to use jQuery, and so in short form we use $, and then that's Ajax. And so the next thing we'll do is to add this block of code. So the method that we're going to use is method equals to get, capital letters, and so this is the method, and in the next line we're going to add the URL which is equals to the endpoint, and there we go, so the endpoint. And so the other one is for the success, that if it's been successful, then we'll need to define we need to actually get into a function. So also let me clean this one. Okay, and so function, and then we'll have a data coming from a function. So I can call this data. This is what we get from the from our REST framework. So here, the first thing we need to do is to process the data. Actually, we don't need to process because we've defined a dictionary inside of our views.py. And if you look at it, look at this, we sent the response to chart. So we have a dictionary here, and you need to use this dictionary in order to, and actually this dictionary is processed. If you had sent the data that was not processed, then we would have to work on processing this data, but this data is prepared for our chart.js. So in a chart.js we need the labels which are related to data we have on the X, and also we have the chart data. We have the chart label, right? The chart label is the title of the chart, so blood pressure record, chart data related to y-axis, and which is the this one is the vertical axis, and this is the horizontal axis. So now the next thing we need to do is so let me first get back to our previous part of the video, and let me tell you what it was. It was the data.date. So the labels of our chart are related to the date when the blood pressure has been recorded, and so the BP or blood pressure is the data related to our blood pressure, very query from our database. So now what we need to do is to continue with this function. And so now the next step is to add the function that we're going to define. So later we're going to define a function for our, giving the data and processing it in a way that it will draw a line chart. So I'm gonna call the function line chart, and we'll define this later, but right now let's use it in here. So I'm gonna call this line chart, and what we're gonna do is, so we can add no difference, but I'd like to add no underline. So we use the data that we got here from the REST API, and it was right over here. And also we use the ID that we defined up here for our blood pressure data. So the canvas date at ID. So here that is blood pressure. And let's place this inside of the apostrophes. Also don't forget about the semicolon. And here we are. We also, what we need to do is to add the, so we had success, okay, right over here. And also what we need to add is in case of error, so error colon, and then here we can write another function for that. Function error data, error underline data. So in case of that, what's going to happen is to you can console log the error, console log error data. So right over here we have this too, and now we can close the Ajax, right? The jQuery. And the next thing we need to do is to add the function related to our drawing the line chart. So we will cover this in the next video, and then we will tell you how to draw a line chart using the data that we've been given from the REST framework. And also in the following, we will try to add the bar graph too, so that our chart becomes completed with the bar graph as well. And also in the next part, we will cover how to add other charts to our canvases and have so many multiple data in one page. So that's it for this part of our tutorial.